So now this is actually coming from state on the main component being passed down through props. So we want to be able to change that and have it actually change the endpoint that we're syncing with in the chat component. So we want this to pull from state as well. So are we passing that down yet? So in main, here's chat. Yeah, we're passing down the room to chat already. So inside chat, which is also a class, seems like, is this the next thing you tried? Changing this to a template and then just make this this.props.room.name. And it works to some degree. All right, let's try this. Afternoon class. Here we go, S2 afternoon. Afternoon class. Woo. Yay. All right, so far so good. We have no way to change rooms though. So let's make sure we can change rooms. And the room is being stored in main. So main is the only component that's allowed to change that, right? So we'll have to put a method on here. I called it load room this morning, so just in the interest of having them named the same, and not throwing myself off, I'll call it load room.
So what is this function doing?
It's doing what you think. It's changing the room in state. So we're going to change state with a room that's being passed in as an argument. So load room will accept a room, and then that's the one that will be set in state. So all this needs to do is this.setState room. I need my arrow. There you go. And we want that to get called by clicking one of these. We could go ahead and test that in the console if we wanted using $R and all that. Yeah. If you pass an object as like an argument, yes. Say again? Numbers and strings and Booleans are primitive types. Those are not passed by reference. Only objects are. But keep in mind, arrays and functions are objects. But strings and so on are not. Set state does another thing. But so this is fine. Doing what we're doing so far, this is fine. It's okay if we don't have to make a copy of the one we're passing in. So let's see if we in our React Dev Tools, if we load up main. So now this is $R because it's highlighted here. I could say $R.loadRoom and just pass in an object with a name of testing, description of just testing. These changed, but the messages didn't. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind. We want it so we can actually call this thing from the sidebar, right? So let's go ahead and figure that out before we troubleshoot this too much. Yeah. Go. Okay. So you with me so far? So we need to be able to call this from the sidebar. So here's sidebar. So we have to pass in the method itself as a prop, right? So load room equals this dot load room, right? It's a class method. So let's open up sidebar. Now we have a new prop coming in, so we can destructure it. Load room. And that is in room list. That's where those links are. So we'll pass in load room equals just load room, right? Don't need props dot or anything like that. Just load room. And then inside room list, well, we have a couple of these things just hard-coded in here. Sooner or later, this list of rooms should probably be in state somewhere or something. Did anybody do that and make this actually map over an array? Anybody else? Just one? All right, cool. That's okay. Let's do it. We can do that. So I'm going to make a new component for these things. So these are going to be my room links. Roomlink.js. It should be pretty simple. We just import React from React. Const room link is an arrow function. Export default room link. We'll return some JSX. Specifically, these 3 lines. So this is going to be a room name here where I have general. So we'll probably want a room prop. So I'll destructure it up here. And this will become room.name. We have some CSS. It's going to need Aphrodite. This is the whole reason we used Aphrodite in the previous component, actually. So I'll just copy this line. And for the moment, I'll just copy all the styles and paste them in there out of room list. And the only ones we actually need are item and link, so I'll get rid of the rest. Here we go, just item and link. So I can probably get rid of item and link from room list. It's been complaining that links must not point to hash. It's just a warning. These aren't going to stay like this forever. But just to get the warning out of our face, why don't we just change that to /, just the root URL. We're not really going to be using them as links just yet, so let's just get rid of the warning. So inside room list, we'll import our new component. Import room link from /room link. And then instead of this, we're going to map over something. So I think I'm okay with just storing the list of rooms in room list. So let's add some state to room list. To add state to room list, it needs to be a class, right? So we'll import React and component from React. Instead of const room list equals arrow function, it'll be classed room list extends component. Instead of just a return statement, I need a render method. And the return statement goes inside there. Looks like I'm not using any props yet anyway, so I don't have anything else I need to change. Okay, it's a class now. Go us. Let's add some state. So I'm going to put a list of rooms in state. And I think I'm not going to make it an array this time. I'm going to make it an object. Here's what I have in mind. Instead of something like this, I want something like this. Get the idea? Instead of an array of those things, I want to have it as an object where the key of each one is the name of the room. That'll make it really easy to find. Yeah.
Did you need to have name as general as well as descriptor, or can you just have it as general?
I think it'll be easy for us to just have it in there twice. I think that's fine. It's not a big deal. Yeah. We're less concerned about repeating data with the style of database we're using. So I'm just going to store it that way. So yeah, let's just put a couple rooms in there to start with. General, name, general, description, chat about anything, random, cat gifs, what else are the kids doing these days? Food, of course. Food, name, food, description, twinwiches and whatnot. Cool. So then what I want to do is loop over those here and spit out my room link. Did I already import that? Yeah. Spit that out once for each thing in there. Ooh, but now I don't have an array, right? I have an object. We've done this. We did this in Spellbook. Do you remember object.keys? Haha. Let's see whether I put this on 2 lines. So let's say object.keys, this.state.room, and that will give us an array containing the string general, the string random, and the string food. So we can map over that. Then each key will be passed into the arrow function, right? The callback. And so what will each of those keys be? It'll be a room name, right? So I'll call it room name. And for each one, I just want to do room link and pass in that room. So here's the big test. What do I type in there? What's my collection of, hey, hang on, I screwed up. This.state.rooms, right? Right, this.state.rooms. So if we did this.state.rooms, that's our collection, right? That's our object. .room name, it would actually look for a key called room name, because that is not the variable room name, that is the string room name. So if we put square brackets, then that's the variable room name, which is going to be general, random, etc. Right? Yeah, one sec. Let's see what happens. Okay, I get a warning, but it's there. So this.state.rooms is our object, right? That's this. So that's this object here. So this.state.rooms.general would be this room, right? So when I map over the keys, my variable room name will hold general, random, or food, right? It'll be the current key from that array. So I want to be able to say this.state.rooms.general or whatever. And general is in this variable name, but I can't say this.state.rooms.room name, or it'll actually look for a key called room name. Because that's the string room name, it's not the variable room name. So if we have the key in a variable, we have to use square brackets. So square brackets and dot are both used to get things out of objects. But if you have the name of the key stored in a variable, you have to use square brackets. Yeah.
So one problem I was running into was if I want to do the set state, you always have to put like the key that's inside the state,
Uh-huh.
so it's the value you want to set it to.
Uh-huh.
But what if we're like, if we want to get the key from the props, so like if we
Okay, so you have a variable. Yeah, okay, sure. We're sort of going to run into that, depending on how we do a later thing. Hold that thought. If I don't ever answer it, write it down, bring it back up. But I think in the morning class, we got to that. So we'll see what happens. So I'm getting this warning, right? Each child in an array or iterator should have a unique key prop. So since we're using map, we need to put a key on this thing. No big deal. I'll just put key equals room name. That should be different for each one. Warning goes away. And now I have all my rooms listed here. So we're at least listing all the rooms. They don't change yet when you click them, but that seems easy enough. So we're in room list now. So in sidebar, we have load room. We're passing load room into room list. So it's here as a prop. So now I can pass that into room link. Load room equals this.props.load room. Here are my props. I have room and I have load room. So I want this to be an on-click on this link here. Yes, but it actually doesn't get passed in as a prop. Key is a thing that uniquely identifies each thing in that list so that when one of them changes, React knows which portion of the page it has to redraw. It makes it perform faster. So it's just something to uniquely identify each thing. Whenever you're looping over something with map in React, you need to do that for performance reasons. Otherwise, it has to redraw the whole list. So we want an on-click here. On-click. And what should we call? Load room, passing in the room, right? So we'll make another function. I'll call it const handle click. We'll receive an event. So I'll make this handle click. This isn't a class, so it's not this.handle click. What do you think the default action for a link is? Do they have a default action that we need to prevent? Go to the link, right? We don't want that to happen. So let's prevent default.
Doesn't it just go to the slash then?
Yeah, it'll be the same page, but we don't want it to refresh. So we'll stop it. And then we'll call load room, passing in what? Room. Let's see what happens. It is, but that's what we want. And yeah, it works. We can click them and it changes the two things that change, but it's screwing up our actual message list, right? So we know we have to deal with that. Well, we did, and it's not working anyway. So let's check that real quick. Load or list all the currently hard-coded rooms in the sidebar. But it's a step in the right direction.